Okay, today I'm going to show you how to add and subtract fractions. The steps are pretty simple. We're going to start out with just adding fractions, and then I'll show you how to subtract fractions. So if we look at the steps here for adding fractions, step 1, make sure the bottom numbers, which are the denominators, are the same. Step 2, you're going to add the top numbers, which are the numerators, and put that answer over your denominator. And step 3 is to simplify the fraction if needed. Okay, so let's look at an example here. We have 1/4 plus 1/4. Okay, so just to go through this, the bottom numbers, if you guys notice, which are denominators, are already the same. Okay, so we don't have to do anything to the denominators to make them the same number yet. So you get lucky if you already have the same denominators. So in this case, it's 4 and 4 because we're doing 1/4 plus 1/4. So step 2, add the top numbers and put the answer over the denominator. Okay, so this is kind of showing you the math here. We have 1/4 plus 1/4. Okay, we already have the same denominator, so the denominator in our answer is already going to be 4. Okay, so now all we have to do is add our top numbers. 1 plus 1, which is what they're showing you right here. Okay, so that equals 2. So you just put that number over our denominator, we get 2/4. If we notice 2/4 is not simplified, right? So if we ask ourselves, is there any number that we can divide into both the numerator and the denominator? We would say yes, because 2 could go into both 2 and 4. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is going to be 2. So it's going to equal to 1/2. Here we have 1/3 plus 1/6. Okay, we notice our denominators are not the same, so we have to make those the same. So we're going to ask ourselves, what number can both of these numbers divide into evenly? Okay, so in this case, we're probably going to make them go into 6, because 6 can divide into 6 evenly, and 3 can divide into 6 evenly. So how are we going to do that? We just have to figure out, well, if we want to make this, turn this 3 into a 6, what do we have to multiply that 3 by to turn it into 6? So in this case, we're going to multiply that times 2, right? So 2 times 3 is equal to 6. So that makes our denominator 6, right? Now, if we know our denominator and our answer is going to be 6, we can go ahead and write that. Okay. Now, whatever we do to our denominator, the bottom number, we have to do to the top number. So we also have to take this times 2. Okay, so 2 times 1 is going to equal 2, right? So we got this one's going to equal 2 now. So now we can do 2 plus 1. That gives us 3, right? So our numerator is 3. So now we have 3/6. We can see that that is not simplified. We can divide 3 into both those numbers. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. And 6 divided by 3 is 2. So that's going to equal 1/2. And that would be our answer. So 1/3 plus 1/6 equals 1/2. All right, let's try one more. Again, it's a little bit more difficult one. First, we got to start off and make our denominators the same, right? Because they're not the same. But now you can see we can't just use one of these numbers as our denominator, right? Because 3 can't go into 5 evenly. 5 can't go into 3, obviously. So we got to figure out a number that both of these denominators can go into. And a simple way of doing that is just to multiply those two numbers together. So if we did 3 times 5, right, we'd get 15. So that will actually work as our denominator. So I'm going to go ahead and write that as our denominator in our answer. Okay, now we have to change both the 3 and the 5 into 15. And so what did we have to do that, right? So the 3 here, okay, how did we turn 3 into 15? We took it times 5. So remember, whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. Okay, and then, so this is going to equal 15. We can also do it on this side. Okay, so what did we take 5 times to get equal 15? We had to take 5 times 3, and whatever we do at the bottom, we have to do to the top, right? So this, change colors here, this is now 15, right? Like we wanted it to. Now let's go to those top numbers. So 5 times 1, that turns that into 5. 1 times 3, that turns that into 3. So now we add those two numbers together. 5 plus 3 is what? Okay, so it'd be 8. 8 over 15. Is that simplified? Is there any number we can divide into both 8 and 15? No, so that would be our simplified answer. All right, now let's look at some subtracting fractions. Okay, so basically, again, it's the exact same steps, only difference is that now you're subtracting the numerators instead of adding the numerator. 1/2 minus 1/6. Okay, 2 can go into 6, so we can use that number as our denominator. Okay, so our denominator is going to be 6. We don't have to do anything to that. So what did we have to do to the 2 to make it a 6? We had to take 3 times 2. Whatever we do the bottom, we have to do the top. If you want to think about it, you can think about it over here to 6. What would we have to take times 6 to make it 6? We could do times 1, and we do times 1, but all that's going to stay the same if we do that, so we don't really have to do that step. Okay, so let's multiply those out. 3 times 2 gives us 6 over here. 3 times 1 equals 3. Okay, so now it's going to be 3 minus 1 gives us 2. So 2/6. That is not simplified. 2 can divide into both of those, right? So we can divide 2 into this number. Divide this by 2 as well to simplify it. And that's going to become 1. And then 6 divided by 2 is 3, so it is 1/3. All right, one more example. This is the last example here. Again, this one doesn't, so 2/5 minus 1/4. The denominators are not the same, so we have to figure out what our denominator is going to be. Neither one of these can multiply into the other one, so we're just going to multiply these together, right? So 5 times 4 gives us 20. So 20 is what we're going to use as our denominator. Okay, so what did we have to do to our 5? We had to multiply that times 4. What did we do to the bottom? We're going to do to the top. What did we have to do to the 4 over here? We're going to multiply it times 5. Whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. Okay, so this is going to become 20. This is going to become 20. Now our denominators are the same. This is going to become 8. 4 times 2 is 8. 1 times 5 is 5. We're going to subtract those, right? So now we have our denominator is 20. Okay, 8 minus 5, and we get 3. So 3 over 20. Can that be simplified? I can't think of a number that can go into both of those numbers, so that is already simplified. 3 over 20. And that is adding and subtracting fractions.